I started my stand-up career in California. Not my writing career. I started that in Michigan. My stand-up career, I used to write for a comic, but it started in California. I used to live in California. I used to live all over. I used to live in Pacoima, Burbank. I worked in Burbank. I worked at DirecTV in Burbank. I used to live in Studio City. I lived in the Los Angeles area. I used to live in South Central, and maybe a couple other places that I'm not thinking of right now. I have never, ever been to California and there's not been traffic. I'm gonna give you a great example. Going into LA, normally there's going into California, period, there's traffic. There's when I tell you I was zoom into that son bitch and straight to my first destination, which was where I was staying, it was smooth sailing. Yeah, there was a lot of cars, but there was no standing still for 10, 20 minutes trying to get an inch. There was none of that. There, even while there and going back and forth to the club, there was one accident, and that accident held up traffic for maybe for us for about 10 to 12 minutes, and we were on our way. Other than that, there were times that I wanted to bust a U-turn. I was like, man, you in California, you ain't gonna be a clear street. I found parking in front of places that I was going to. Never ever. It was uncanny. And then leaving, always a traffic jam. Always. I'm talking about at prime time, 5:00, rush hour. The normal California rush hour traffic, that shit wasn't there. I got out of town with the ease. There was never a standstill at all this time around. That has never, ever happened. I'm gonna tell you why. So going into California, into the state, almost immediately there was a police presence. Every 2 miles there was cops. Every 2 miles, cops would pull somebody over. There was border patrol, cops. And I'm not exaggerating. Every 2 fucking miles, it had you shook a little bit. It had me shook a little bit. Like, I don't have no criminal record, but still nervous. I'm a black man living in America. We tense up and shit when we see the police. I'm telling you, when I tell you it's a police state, and you ain't never been through a police state or felt what a police state felt like, that's what this shit felt like. It was the police every 2 miles. I bullshit you not. After a couple days, I had to go to the store and buy some clothes. So I went to Macy's and bought a couple pair of pants. And I got into a conversation with the lady that worked there. She was Hispanic. Very nice. We got to laughing and talking, and because she was looking at me like people look at me, and I was, we got into the Michael Clark Duncan thing. She was like, you look like, I was like, I know. We started laughing, whatever. And so then I was like, I felt comfortable enough to say, hey, let me ask you a question. Is it me or is it traffic lighter here now? She was like, she said it was a mass exodus. First and foremost, a lot of stars, celebrities left this bitch. And I know that to be true. And she said a lot of people who are not stars and et cetera left this bitch. And a lot of people are staying in home. They're scared to come out. She said, in fact, she had missed the bus because she drives the bus to work. She said she missed the bus one day and then came back, and the bus driver had told her ICE came on, snatched 15 people off the bus, and then told her to stop speaking Spanish because they noticed that she be speaking Spanish, and they didn't want her to get snatched, so stop speaking Spanish when you come on this bus. And she was like, damn, okay. She said people are scared. She said they're scared to come out, and that's what it is. And I can feel it. I can see it. By way of traffic, there was none. It was amazing. Every day that I went to the comedy club, there was no traffic. When I say no traffic, there was no normal California congestion traffic. None of that. It was none of that. And you could see it, you could feel it. And so, when they say a police state, that's the fuck it is in California. It is very visible, very out there. It was sad to see. Selfishly, it was great because there was no traffic. You wasn't sitting, I probably saved on gas. Yeah, gas is $59.99 a gallon, but I saved by not burning it up, sitting there waiting in traffic. You know what I mean? Um, it was something to experience. It was unreal. It was scary a little bit. Like, this is the state that we are in right now. People are scared and don't want to come out and play because of what society has become. Man, it was crazy.